Management in Mexico has been shaped over the decades primarily by deadly and costly earthquakes. Although Mexico is also vulnerable to a variety of other hazards, such as tropical weather like tropical storms and hurricanes, and volcanoes, drought, as well as man made disasters. Mexico's most urbanized and densely populated city, Mexico City, is responsible for a lot of the shaping of new mitigation measures like new alert systems like SAS. This city is extra vulnerable not only because it's densely populated and has a lot of new infrastructure, but because it sits atop a jello like soil.
The North American country of Mexico is vulnerable to a myriad of hazards. These hazards range from meteorological events like hurricanes and floods to geological events like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Over the course of the past hundreds of years, Mexico has dealt with these Mother Nature related events. One event that truly shaped the formation of Mexico's disaster management sector was the Mexico City earthquake of 1985, which claimed the lives of over 10,000 people and over 4 billion USDA in damages to infrastructure. An earthquake is Mexico's most plausible and devastating hazard. Due to its geographical location along the Guerrero Gap, Mexico's had its fair share of seismic activity. Second to earthquakes is Mexico's tropical weather. Along Mexico's east coast that hugs the Gulf of Mexico, the coast is vulnerable to tropical weather hazards like tropical storms and hurricanes. This bout of tropical weather during the summer months can also lead to secondary hazards like flooding and landslides as a result of torrential rain and storm surge. The Mexican government works with UN agencies like PAHO and WHO. Working with these UN agencies allows the country to work with humanitarian groups around the world in support of their disaster management and mitigation efforts. For example, in 2011, Mexico worked with the Pan American Health Organization to comprise the federal plan for preparedness and response to a large-scale earthquake or tsunami in Mexico. Although Mexico's disaster management has expanded over the past few decades, much of the implementation remains in a top-down pattern. After an attempt to decentralize responsibilities to local governments, the action was made too hastily and resulted in neglect of current programs for disaster preparedness. For many countries around the world, top-down implementation is the best format for successfully fulfilling disaster preparedness and response. The biggest obstacle for Mexico's disaster management is funding. If they don't get the proper funding to fund programs like SAS and SASO, their alert systems, they won't be able to keep innovating and keeping them reliable. Earthquakes are arguably the most influential disaster in Mexico's disaster management. They've shaped policy in many ways. For example, after the 1985 earthquake, the National System of Civil Protection was formed and a framework was composed with the provisions of over 30 different federal agencies that focus primarily on earthquake mitigation, response, and recovery. In addition, there was also programs that were created like SAVER that involved hospitals and SAS that involved alerting. That's all. Thanks for watching.